Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our first seminar of the second series of DigiBiz Talk, Metatourism, a Tourist in the Metaverse World, brought to you by AITI. You might be questioning, what is the Metaverse, or perhaps you already know. Find out throughout this webinar, as we will be looking into the Metaverse and how it affects the tourism industry. But before that, we would like to start with this recital of Surah Al-Fatiha to bless this morning's event.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Amin amin ya rabbal alamin. Next, I would like to invite Yang Mulia Muhammad Ilham bin Haji Saini from AITI to give their welcoming remarks.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to you all. We thank you for taking the time out to join in our today's session of our series of DigiBiz Talk webinar. It's a great pleasure for the Authority for Info Communication Technology Industry of Brunei Darussalam to welcome you to this webinar on Metatourism, a tourist in the Metaverse World. Ladies and gentlemen, DigiBiz Talk is one of the initiatives by AITI to encourage ICT and digital adoption in Brunei, particularly to support the growth of businesses through a series of seminars related to emerging technologies. Today's seminar focuses on tourism industry and aims to promote tourism virtually, following today's title, to create insight on a tourist in the Metaverse world. The Metaverse can be defined as a set of virtual shared space that are indexed in the real world and accessible via 3D interaction. The Metaverse tourism advantages could help people all over the world enjoy experience from their homes. Ladies and gentlemen, to have a better understanding on the Metatourism, we have invited expert moderator and expert speakers for the seminar. Before I end, I would like to thank Recap for facilitating this webinar. I wish everyone an enjoyable and very informative session. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you, Yang Mulia Muhammad Ilham, for your speech. Finally, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to our esteemed speakers, Jimmy Luisier, who is joining us today all the way from Thailand, alongside Jimmi Saputra, all the way from Indonesia. Our first speaker, Jimmy Luisier, is an experienced speaker, trainer, Unity Certified Instructor, mentor, technologist, developer, and consultant. Currently, he works on major projects with corporations like VRG, which are the VR guys, and Unity Technologies, as well as universities. He has had the pleasure of delving into many facets of the XR industry, from managing and developing VR application projects for international organizations to teaching renowned courses. In addition, he is conducting research as part of the VR program at University of Science Malaysia, Center for Instructional Technology and Multimedia. Our second speaker, Jimmi Saputra, is a technology entrepreneur and businessman who is currently the founder and CEO of Tiga Digital Token, a company that operates a cryptocurrency exchange platform. The company launched an NFT gaming service, which expands on its first project of Niftypedia, an NFT marketplace for creators. He possesses a lot of expertise and has even been an advisor for their defense ministry. Our moderator here, Dr. Ram Gopal Raj, will be easing us throughout this session. Dr. Ram himself started his tech journey early, learning C programming at age 7. Having obtained his PhD in artificial intelligence in 2011, he spent the next 9 years rising up the ranks of academia. Seeking more significant challenges beyond the ivory tower, he jointly founded a successful tech startup that prospers to this day. But the thrills keep coming as more adventures await at AirAsia Academy as the Director of Strategy and Innovation. Now, without further ado, we shall start with the webinar. The floor is yours, Jeremy.
Thanks so much, Hani, and thanks for everyone at AITI and Recap for having me today. So I hope everyone is doing well, and welcome to Metatourism, a tourist in the Metaverse world. And here are just some basic objectives as we go through the presentation for this morning. To raise awareness on digital tech, to assist industry players in building new incremental business, provide insight on enhancing business operations and products, and we'll highlight some opportunities for you in the digital economy. And our session outline as well, a little bit what I'll go through: virtual 3D content, some new opportunities in business in this space, creating custom solutions for customers and consumers, how the metaverse is changing the tourism, and a little bit about what we can look forward to on the horizon. And as we said, for the metaverse, if you're not exactly sure, you can learn a bit about today, but don't worry too much if you're not sure on the definition of the metaverse, because that is a debated topic yet. So there are a lot of different perspectives and definitions when it comes to the metaverse. So there's no one really correct definition. Thus far, we can look to definitions like the author Matthew Ball, a venture capitalist, well known in the tech space, that defines it as a massively scaled interoperable network of real-time rendered 3D virtual worlds, synchronously and that are persistent also. So we have effectively unlimited number of users, individual sense of presence, so really being present in that metaverse space, whatever we wish it to be. We have continuity of data, our identity, history, entitlements, objects, communications, payments, all those things that really kind of mirror what we have in the real world, that we'll be able to transfer them to one place to another. We want to be able to do the same in the metaverse world. So in other words, we could say the metaverse is really a new way of experiencing the internet, but it's not only mobile and dynamic like our current internet, but we're going to have more interconnections. We're going to have more immersion of being in that space. Everything will be kind of brought into our 3D existence. We could look at Tony Parisi, so another person from Unity, for example, as many other things as well. But his 7 rules of the metaverse are: there is only one metaverse. The metaverse is for everyone. Nobody controls the metaverse. The metaverse is open. The metaverse is hardware independent. And we'll take a look at some cross-platform beginnings of the metaverse today. The metaverse is a network, and the metaverse is the internet. So a lot of the good points there that we can take with us that we'll see in other aspects of the metaverse. But yeah, really keeping it open, keeping it not under the control of any one organization or body, and kind of really building on the internet connectivity and network that we have today. We could look at some other perspectives of industry leaders as well. From here, Alexander Hosanat, the metaverse is a network of 3D experiences. So we're seeing that network kind of key phrase again, where you can find content, explore by goods and services, and socialize. And here from Jason Lowe, apart from a 3D virtualized platform, believe you need to have 5 pillars to make the platform a metaverse. So the 5 pillars he's talking about there: gamification and social, education pillar, work, and commerce. We have Louise Froberg, and for her, the metaverse is persistent virtual space that converges with the real world, made up of 3D objects, environments, and avatars that make you feel like you're there alongside other people. So again, they have that idea of persistence. We have the idea of networking and being in a space with others. So the social pillar there. Dmitry Ulinov. For Dmitry, the metaverse is a parallel universe where you're not limited by the laws of physics. So that's a little bit of a different aspect that we haven't included with the others. So not limited by the laws of physics. We have Anton Bernstein, a place where physical and digital converge. So the next generation of the internet. So here we're kind of iterating, developing from what we have for internet technology today, and also with the ways that communities interact with each other online and will be in our metaverse space. Kai Philippe says, I don't think the metaverse is something palpable. For me, metaverse is open, not just made up of closed and centralized platforms. So there another kind of mention of these key ideas of being decentralized and also being open. We have Adam Frisbee here. Metaverse is both plumbing and substrate for a rich multi-user 3D application. So really kind of building the foundation of everything that we're going to do for multiple users in 3D. And so we're talking about XR technology a lot with the metaverse, the extended reality or XR. And if you're not familiar with these, we'll just kind of briefly cover what the technologies are. So XR would be an umbrella term to incorporate all these different technologies like virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality under this umbrella. If you're not familiar with those, we'll cover those a bit as well. So we have virtual reality, which would be a fully artificial environment. So everything we see around us in virtual reality would be computer generated. So something like a VR headset, we see on the slide, the Oculus Quest HMD head mounted display there. So everything you're looking at there is computer generated. Now, more recently, it also has some AR features, as you might have with many of your mobile phones. Have face filters and things like that would be examples of AR, or games like Pokemon Go, where you have the real world and then you have virtual objects overlaid. Like, so you go to a real park and you want to catch some kind of Pokemon character, something like that. We'll see more kind of educational uses of that too, or you could have a real world setting and there's some kind of object you want to bring and describe, and you can bring that into the real world space and take a look at it there, rotate the object, things like that. And then we have mixed reality. So that's the virtual environment combined with the real world, where we can interact with both the real world and virtual environment at the same time. So that might be something that lends itself more to like the Microsoft HoloLens, which we can see there. So you have both capabilities. You can see the real world around you, you can see the virtual objects, but you have the ability to easily interact with both. And there's some kind of connections between these different technologies that may be coming together. So there's more overlap, like I mentioned, the Oculus Quest now has a pass-through mode. It's a little bit grainy and blurry and black and white at the moment, but we also can see that like the Quest Pro will be developing that pass-through mode more, and we have color, we have greater clarity, things like that going forward. So we have here, this is Milgram's virtual reality virtuality continuum. So we have on one side of the continuum, we have the real world. So everything we see is real. We don't really have any technology either augmenting or kind of obstructing our view of the real world. And as we go, we have augmented reality, which are our virtual objects in the real world. We have augmented virtuality with real objects in the virtual world. And then we have full virtual reality, where everything we see, as we said, is computer generated. Kind of anything in the middle there between the real world and virtual reality would be mixed reality, from barely augmented, half and half, or barely real. And again, these terms may be discussed in different ways by different speakers or different organizations, different product manufacturers, things like that may have their own kind of definitions, but this one is pretty broad and covers kind of the basics of what we might look at when we see these terms. So to showcase what we can do with some of these technologies, or what we might have with some of the 3D virtual content, would be something like being able to visit digital twins of virtual landmarks. So this example is the Statue of Liberty from New York in the US, and this is in Mozilla Hubs. So Mozilla Hubs is free, open source actually, cross-platform. So you can visit on your browser, you can visit on mobile, you can visit using a PC or Mac, you could use a VR headset, really whatever kind of device that you want to access this space, you're able to do so. And you can bring in, I believe in the free version, you can bring in about 20 people into this space. Works well for things where you have like a situation where you need a host. So you have a host describing maybe this landmark, talking about the Statue of Liberty. 20 people could be in this room, and they could be discussing the Statue of Liberty or listening to a presentation, for example. There is some limited interaction. You can do some drawing, bringing in images and video clips into Mozilla Hubs, but kind of for full interaction, if that's what you're looking for, might not be the best choice at this time, although it is open source, so you could build upon this and build your own platforms using Mozilla Hubs. Similarly, there is Spatial. So this is an example of the Adelaide Convention Centre in South Australia, presented in Spatial. So you could do the same kind of thing. You could have a host, you could have multiple participants to join with you to visit, tourist attractions, to visit areas of importance, landmarks, and those things in the metaverse using Spatial, which is also a cross-platform experience. Going to the other side of our spectrum, where we have full virtual reality. So this one is an example. You could visit the Great Pyramids of Egypt, or London Bridge, for example, perhaps Taj Mahal, using a convenient standalone device like the Meta Quest or Quest 2. And this is an app called Wander. So you can really choose anywhere on the map, areas of significance, and it kind of brings you in, if you're familiar with Google Street View. For example, this is like bringing you into that street view with the 360 video, and you can experience that in a VR headset. There are also platforms like Aeon XR. So this one, good for kind of adding a little bit more educational material, if that is your goal. So if we want to visit something like the Taj Mahal, we can have the 360 video experience, again, cross-platform, so you can access it from different devices. You can add audio clips. There is like type to text or type to speech capability. So you can just type out whatever narration you want and then save that as an audio file in Aeon XR. And you can add quizzes. You can add the ability to break apart models and objects, annotate them, quite a few features there to give a lot of different aspects of a tourist attraction, or really anything else for that matter that you'd be interested in describing or discussing in the metaverse. And we have that kind of core pillar of decentralization mentioned often with the metaverse. So we have here an example of the Sandbox game. So the Sandbox game, a decentralized platform, a little bit more of a voxel art, similar to Minecraft or other popular applications like that. And this one is an experience for Mini Macau. I've seen some other nice ones. The Philippines has a nice tourist experience on the Sandbox game, and this one from Asia Pioneer Entertainment. And there are other platforms similar to this as well. Decentraland is another kind of focused on decentralized. You can market your NFTs, your non-fungible tokens in these spaces. And celebrities also use them for events. We have here the example of Snoop Dogg uses the Sandbox game, promotes concerts and videos, and also his own NFTs, non-fungible tokens. The ones I've seen of his tend to be models of himself in different outfits or different forms, things like that, if you're interested in purchasing NFTs from Snoop Dogg. And they hold events there. You can buy concert tickets and things. You could purchase land that is adjacent, so then you could be Snoop Dogg's neighbor, those kinds of things, if it's still available in the Sandbox game or Decentraland. And for business side, so if you have something like a hotel that you want to promote and give people really a chance to experience your hotel before they arrive or help them in their planning process, this is an interactive experience for Sofitel Bangkok. And that's done by the VR guys. And here you can see is a scene of the pool at sunset. And there are all these different landmarks kind of in the distance. And as you click these hotspots for the landmarks, you get a pop-up with the different information about those hotspots there. So this one you can see is the BTS Ratchadamari. So give you some information on public transport, where you may be able to reach the hotel or reach other areas of interest there. So you can see Bangkok's transit network, the BTS SkyTrain. And then we have the ability to create custom solutions with a lot of these platforms and tools that we're discussing. So a wide variety of options available, of course, from mobile to 360. We could embed these tours into websites. They can be standalone applications that can be cross-platform. So you could build your application for all different kinds of devices and experiences. And those continue to grow. They're more and more developing every day. We talk a lot of these tools can work together. So the ability to kind of transfer your data, your models, your 360 videos is becoming easier as we go. There's been kind of a nice push. One of the good things that has come out of the pandemic was kind of a push for everything to be virtual and be able to do these things more online. So out of the bad, we have some good that has come to this industry with really kind of pushing a lot of these tools forward. So we consider the best way to reach our target market would be something we want to consider with our decisions regarding what platforms that we want to use. We want to think about what is most aligned with our goals. What is most important to us? Is it realism? So if we're thinking that having something very realistic is important, maybe 360 video is a good choice for us, possibly on a standalone application or something. So we have the considerations of processing power. If interactivity is most important, then maybe we want to do something more depending on if we want to be in the virtual space and interacting at the same time, or if we can just be interacting similar to the hotel tour that I showed you, would be a good choice for interactivity for the web. If we want a lot of interactions, perhaps interacting with objects and things like that, then we want to do something like a standalone application for either mobile or VR, something like that. And then we also want to think about who's going to be accessing our application, when and how, like which devices are they going to have access to, what is the easiest for them to use, or what is going to be the best to promote this metaverse application that we want to promote, or this tourist attraction, or a hotel, or a tour, those kinds of things. So we can also think about if our event needs to be hosted in real time, or can we have recorded audio and text, things like that that are going to suit our purpose. So as we were talking about real-time hosting, then maybe something like a cross-platform application would be great for something like Mozilla Hubs or Spatial or others like that, where we can have a live host, we can invite people in. And I'll just note that we talked about the free ones where you have some limitation on the number of attendees, but of course you could put your own instance of Mozilla Hubs, for example, on something like AWS, and host it that way. And then you could just kind of spin off additional iterations, additional rooms for people to visit tourist sites. Then you might need more hosts or something to visit different rooms, depending on the scale of how many people will be attending your event. And we want to think about if you have the human resources. So are you looking to invest in your own team to build these kinds of applications? Do you have the skill base? Do you have the ability to train, or do you want to bring in trainers to handle those kinds of aspects of custom solutions? So we're talking about decisions for what we want to do in-house, or decisions for what we would like to outsource also. And of course, there are many different tools that we can use as we create custom solutions. Game engines being a big one, kind of taking the lead as far as developing for the metaverse. We have game engines such as Unity, Unreal. There are others like Godot that are open source engines as well. So really any of those can be great for developing XR experiences for the metaverse. There are a lot of tools included now or developing with those platforms. Like Unity has the XR interaction toolkit. So there are quite a few interactions you can set up in a virtual world without really needing a lot of coding experience or coding background. Of course, it's always better. You can expand upon and do more things if you have the ability to program. And Google and Apple offer their own frameworks, and these work well with game engines. So you could develop with a game engine or develop on their own with these frameworks for AR Core and AR Kit for AR-based augmented reality, which we talked about, which is the real world and bringing in virtual objects. Vuforia is another leading framework for AR. And then, as we saw, we have the decentralized platforms like the Sandbox game, Decentraland. And these have their own tools that are quite similar to what you might find to building in a game engine. I believe the developers of the Sandbox game said they based their creation tools to be like a simplified version of the Unity game engine, for example, to help you kind of iterate and build games, build experiences a little bit more easily, a bit more quickly, without having to have a full understanding of how to use a game engine or how to build experiences with a game engine. And there are cross-platform leaders like Mozilla Hubs we talked about, Spatial, that have their own tools. And you'll find a lot of overlap, I think, as you look at these different kind of tools for building virtual worlds, building metaverse spaces. As you look at the different ones, you'll find that if you learn one, you have a lot of overlap, or you understand the basics of what you want to do for another, just positioning things in 3D space, working with particle effects, things like that, working with UI. A lot of these systems have pretty similar tools for these. And many of them now integrate with each other and let them work and talk together. So if you're more familiar building with one, you might be able to transfer your work to another without as much effort as it may have taken in the past. There are more tools available for you to do that, so you don't have to code maybe your own custom solutions for these things, for example. And if you are considering outsourcing, then some things you can look for. Of course, you want to consider an organization that has a strong portfolio. So you could always ask what organizations they work with. You could ask them to showcase the projects that they have worked on in the past. And really, you want to consult with the organization and make sure that they understand really your needs as a business, as an organization, what goals you want to accomplish, really, and how you want to accomplish them, and make sure you're well aligned with all those aspects. And if we are talking about maybe doing more in-house training, so that could be on different levels. If you want to, for example, train your team to actually get to the point of creation where they're building these metaverse worlds or these metaverse applications, you could take to that level at a more basic level of training, just to get your own staff to understand, to be able to communicate better with the people that are developing the metaverse worlds. So you could consider training workshops from large organizations like Unity. Offers a lot of different courses related to the metaverse, from developing AR mobile applications with Unity, developing real-time 3D applications with Unity, developing VR applications with Unity and the XR interaction toolkit I mentioned. 3D Forma is a little bit more for product visualization and things along those lines. If you have something that needs maybe more of an architectural solution, things with BIM data that you want to bring in and have your users view at real time, then there's also a solution called Reflect. And really just about anything you can think of, these different solutions are always growing to meet the needs of customers as well. So there are custom training that you could, if you have an idea that's not covered, could certainly contact either myself or Unity or someone else that's aligned with what you want to do for this kind of training. There are also certifications available. So if it's important to you or you're interested in getting certified to show that you have maybe staff competent to a certain level with this technology, then there are, for example, these are the Unity certifications that are available, really starting from user level. So for high school students, often for true beginners, if you don't really have any kind of background with technology, this would be a good place to start. There are different pathways that you can take. So if you're more interested in programming, you could begin with certified user programmer. If you're more interested in the art, creating the 3D assets and working with the technical art in a game engine, for example, and developing metaverse worlds, you could take the certified user artist pathway. If you have a VR headset, you could get started with the VR developer pathway, but I think you do need to have programming background. So you need to do the certified user first, and then as a prerequisite, then you're able to do the VR developer course. And then just kind of progresses up from there. It gets a bit more difficult. The pathways maybe are a bit different for now with the certified associate. So that's kind of considered post-secondary level or for aspiring professionals. So you're above the user state, but you want to continue developing in either more general in what it says game developer, but now keep adding more content for all different industries, and certified associate programmer and certified associate artist continue to the next levels. Right now, there's no certified associate or beyond for VR, but I think we may see those also come in the future. And then there's the pro level for people designed if you have 2 to 4 years of Unity work experience, and then just continues with the programmer and artist pathway and all the way to expert so far. That one only for programmers. So if you want to be an expert programmer for building metaverse applications in a game engine like Unity, this would be a good path for you. So Unity focuses mostly on C# for building the applications, C++ in the background for the engine. So if you have those kind of programming skills and background, these might be interesting to you as well, kind of with the more advanced certification. But of course, you could always start from the beginning with user if you're just learning to program and interested in doing that, or taking the art path or developer path. There's a lot of great free content. So if you are looking to just kind of get started, maybe you're just a bit curious to see what's out there and you're not ready to commit to maybe a professional workshop or to get a certification, maybe that doesn't really align with your position. Also, you could look at some of the free materials that are available on learn.unity.com, for example. Just about any topic you could type in related to developing for the metaverse, you will probably find on the website. And if we have time, I'll just show you that quickly as we finish up. Similar, you can find materials for Unreal and XR. Any of these other platforms have some documentation. And generally, you can find some people that are already developing and willing to share what they've learned in the creator economy that we have in 2022, including a lot of excellent YouTube channels promoting metaverse content. One is VR with Andrew. So, and he gets pretty in depth. So you could learn things like doing different velocity with controllers and getting more into kind of all the details that go behind what you might see when you experience a virtual world. Andrew is partnered with Unity himself to create some content. So there is Create with VR is one, if you're interested in the VR aspect, and that's completely free. So you can walk through to build your first VR application. I do recommend you do have a VR headset for that. There is an XR device simulator, which you can try to use your keyboard controls to simulate a VR device. Not quite as user-friendly, but if you're curious, maybe you know you have a VR device coming soon and you would like to get started, you do have the ability to do some simulation just with your keyboard. But that can be a bit of a learning curve in itself. And then here, how the metaverse is changing tourism. We are seeing a lot of really interesting things. The ability just to be able to travel from the comfort of your home using a wide array of devices from mobile to VR headsets. Very nice during the pandemic to kind of get out of the apartment and get out of your house and be able to travel around the world using, apps like Wander, things like that to visit tourist sites just about anywhere. And giving customers really the ability to get a feel for attractions or any kinds of services that you have before they arrive. Maybe they're doing their shopping online, just looking for what they would like to find. you really have a good opportunity there to kind of present yourself to customers before they even leave their home. Even kind of beyond these normal aspects of tourism, we have the ability to travel in time also, so kind of a 4D experience. So you could visit another place and try to simulate what it was like in the past, even possibly in the future, if you wanted to do some projections of what a space would be like, seeing some interesting applications where you visit a construction site, for example, and there's a post in the corner of where construction will begin. You scan the QR code and you can see the building there in its space when it's finished. So something like that to project to the future. We have things like NASA, even providing virtual tours of international space stations, Mars, other solar systems, things that for most of us, we wouldn't normally have the chance to experience. So there are really almost no limits. So it's kind of limited only by your imagination, what you can create in the virtual world, as we're talking about superseding even the laws of physics and things like that. You can really create whatever you would like with these tools. And they're pretty good about allowing you to do whatever you can imagine. There is some way to accomplish it. So that's really the end of my slide presentation there. I have all my different contact information there. You're always welcome to add me on social media or LinkedIn, reach out by email if you have any questions on any of these things. But I know we'll have our Q&A coming up today. So if you have any questions immediately, that would be great as well. Looks like I have just a few minutes. If I could perhaps just show a few of these applications. So here is the example of the 360 hotel tour. So we could click on some of the different hotspots here to see different information. Here's Lumpini Park. Look at the Central Embassy. So there's some shopping and dining areas there. We can rotate anywhere around to see a full view. We can visit different areas of the hotel just by clicking here. We're going to go to the 9th floor lobby, for example. And that brings us into the new area. And then we have new 360 video showcasing these different areas of the hotel. And again, we can just click on all the different hotspots and it will focus us in those areas. There's some hotspots on the floor to kind of direct us into different locations. And here we could go to the restaurants. There's a little bit of lag in my internet today. So we can see all the different areas there. Here is AMXR, and this would be a similar kind of 360 view of Taj Mahal. Okay, I do have that lesson up here. And you can see the different options that you have to add audio and video. If I play that lesson, may take a moment to open, so I think I'll leave that one as is. Here is Unity Learn. So just to show just some different pathways, you could begin with the Unity Essentials pathway. I would recommend if you are taking your first steps to build in a game engine. And then we have the Create with VR course that I mentioned there. And also we have Mozilla Hubs, so just hubs.mozilla.com is the cross-platform area for building metaverse spaces that we talked about being good for virtual hosting and things like that. And Spatial is quite similar, so you could take a look at those and see what fits you the best. So thank you very much. That's all the content I have at the moment. So I'll turn it back over to Hani.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. And you're right with your previous question. What idea will you come up to change the tourism industry? I think our next speaker, Jimmi Saputra, can walk us through. So mic is yours, Jimmy.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning for the rest. Yeah, thank you so much for having me here. And what Jeremy explained, it was amazing. you can see, in details about the technology and everything that really mind-blowing at the moment. So apology for my mistake if I will have in advance. So I really also still new. The same like Jeremy said, that this is quite new, the technology of Metaverse, Web3 and blockchain. I'm still learning too, and a lot of things that still, have to, dive deep about this technology. Yeah. So about myself, I'm from Tiga Digital, our office in Bali, and we are creating the ecosystem of blockchain environment like NFT, marketplace, crypto wallet management, NFT game, and centralized exchange. And we also build trying to build our own blockchain, name signature, and still many other things. So okay, I will start my presentation about Metatourism because my other company also actually in tourist industry. We are starting since 2004. We have DMC, like a destination management company for incoming tourists to Bali. Metatourism, tourists in the Metaverse world. Okay, welcome to Metatourism World. So we are exploring the something wrong with my screen. Hold on. Yeah. Explore your favorite destination before arriving. So avoid bad surprises before you book. See the feasible attraction and proximity to where you want to be, or where you could be, and what you could experience. So this is the idea about Metatourism. So far, it's still like, in some application already there. For example, if we have this Oculus, the VR headset that you can find, like Jeremy said, Egypt, even Bali also here. So we can have a look the destination even before we arrive. So Metaverse is not new. This is actually the technology that already since back then, but it's on like we call it like before we play the how to say like Pokemon things and everything. So this new technology allow the average person to be immersed in high resolution interactive world. The travelers in the real world can enter with a simple one-step login to pre-discover what a vacation experience could feel like. So the future of tourism in Metaverse. Metaverse is a persistent and immersive, like a digital world that is experienced by a large group of simultaneous users, mainly created to promote social connection and create a digital civilization optimized around virtual reality and augmented reality. So it usually takes a traveler, for example, a number of hours, even days to research a trip. So they have a question that are usually answered by friends and search engine, and of course the hotel booking site. Unfortunately, all of these are biased and limited in scope. Many opportunities for the right experience for that specific travel psychology are missed. For example, should I go to Brunei or Bali? What hotel should I stay at? Will it give me experience? Am I looking for what is there to experience, and how far or how much time do I need to go there or to get there? What are the non-tourist places to visit, and what makes them exciting? Where is the place from the image on Instagram or other social media? Or where are the nice places to eat, and how much do they cost? So with this Metaverse technology, it can like bring the idea that you can explore first before you even go there. So what do you know about Metaverse? It is a conceptual idea, which implies that we could have a completely connected virtual world in future, where user could seamlessly transition between different spaces in the metaverse according to their requirement. So a friend of mine in Bali, his name is Arthur Karmazi. He built an early metaverse platform called the Galileo Travel Futures. So where the platform used the latest technology to solve the problem with this mainstream Web3 metaverse and interactive AI avatar guides. So yeah, I'm sure next time we should invite him too on this to be one of the speaker. So yeah, Web3 and Metatourism. The power of Web3, the new technology that allowed us to start new companies, new communities, and new currencies. Well, we can use it to create new cities or even new countries. A key concept is to go cloud first, and last but not land never, but starting with an online community and then materializing it into physical world. So it's still very deep to explore about this. And number two, the metatourism. The idea of metatourism is a digital tourism network that aims to seamlessly connect virtual world within the metaverse, enabling users to be easily transported and visualize a tourist destination worldwide from one country to another from your home. It links up fragmented virtual world together, thereby connecting the metaverse and our digital world. So the journey starts in the transportation portal, where travelers will make like 5 visual choices based on preference. They're then greeted by this is when the technology use the AI, so they will be greeted by the AI who asks a few questions. But if no AI, then so it just explore by itself. This is so somehow the technology is quite complex actually still to explain in a plain world now. So application of meta experience into real tourism function. The museum can, for example, use metaverse to recreate the scene from historical events, to have people walk among dinosaurs or be a part of some historical battle. I mean, it is easily achieved with VR at this stage. Just need to develop more elaborate meta world for each historical period. So yeah, it's just like we are entering the time portal or time travel machine that we can witness ourselves, in person. Because when we see, if you have experienced yourself using this gadget, like for example, Oculus, this is amazing. But I don't know, now maybe so many new device already in the market with the advanced and very new technology. So, for example, in the journey that we want to go to Bali. Let's say from Brunei, we want to go to Bali, and the journey may last only like 20 to 30 minutes, traveling from some area to another area, but the time will be equivalent to 5 to 4 hours of the online reserve. But the visitor may then wish to book experience directly in the metaverse, just in an instant, and you don't have to travel. Like booking the tickets, but with the metaverse technology, you can see very instantly. And yeah, if you like the place, then you can just book for the real one. So the component of Metatourism, one of them is NFT tickets. So a user willing to travel to a different virtual world will purchase a ticket at many marketplaces. Yeah, for example, like in our marketplace, Niftypedia or OpenSea, or within another virtual world. So the ticket is a non-fungible token. It's an NFT that authorize a user to travel to their desired destination All tickets will be then sold in native currency of the virtual world. So yeah, this is something that's still a bit deep to explain. So another one is Meta Crypto and Meta Portal. User can purchase Meta Crypto to cover for travel costs, and it serves as a unified currency that can be easily exchanged for the native cryptocurrency upon arrival. It serves a terminal or door through which a user transition to another digital environment without breaking the virtual experience. As a Web3 platform, for example, the hotels, a villa, or some activities company, they want to how to say to be into the system. They also have to govern the metaverse through and how to spend to expand Bali. So the system is also geared to support smaller local vendor artisan. Well, the platform now for the metaverse still not really into the tourism yet, but we hope that we can really make it happen. So the benefit of Metatourism is a digital tourism network that would facilitate seamless interconnection between virtual world without leaving the private home environment. So it to create powerful tourism economy and encourage influx of new users. Increases value as a merchant compete for tourist attention. Buying and selling Meta Crypto is cost effective and it incur almost zero gas fee. Metatourism tickets are minted as NFT, which gives user full ownership, right to trade, sell, or give the NFT ticket and earn endless royalties. So elaborated on the benefit for real tourism. Such as before traveling to a destination, the tourists can explore the sightseeing spots or the hotels to decide on the itinerary. For many people, food and scents are very essential travel experience. Metaverse lacks this, but it can serve as the immersive experience to be able to decide in favor of this or the destination, attraction, accommodation, etc. We believe that travel should be an enjoyable experience that maintain immersion for users, just ushering in a steady flow of tourism to each virtual world, facilitating the interconnection and different platforms. So as a quote, so today, Metaverse is a world in future technology that we will enter later by Alexander Aronowitz. So this is our existing Web3 project, NFTpedia. So far we have 16K downloaders with about 20% active user. We still new with 20% stability, where you can buy cryptocurrency directly from your wallet using bank transfer, Google Pay, or Apple Pay. Yeah, in our application here, the bank transfer only so far valid for Indonesian citizen. So next time we will try to integrate it with international payment gateway. So for other country user can also buy the crypto through our crypto wallet. But meanwhile, if you are not in Indonesia, you can buy through Google Pay or Apple Pay. So non-fungible tokens, how it works. So non-fungible token, NFT is a new way to store your data and get a digital verification. NFT uses blockchain technology to record your data and distribute your data and make it hard to be manipulated. So yeah, something like this. The future is now, and I think yes, a lot of still to talk about. But for example, when my child experienced this, she play Roblox she love it so much. But we have Oculus, we have the a laptop, we have the iPad, but somehow she's more into still in playing the Roblox through her laptop or her iPad. When I find out why she's not using the gadget, this VR things in the glasses headset, seems like it's become easy to get nausea. I think this is also still some of the lack of technology of this VR headset, because sometimes when we when we sit down and we play it, inside of it is moving around, so somehow maybe it makes our head dizzy. We lost our stability, and this is, I think, still weakness of this technology at the moment, because our body actually also need to move around to coordinate the situation when we are watching this. I tried to, and maybe because of the age factor, and I easily become dizzy, nausea, and I cannot stand it too long using this gadget. So I think at the moment, this Metaverse World still can be implemented through the so far like our smartphone gadget or tablet, but yeah, we hope that in the nearest future it can be implemented in simple glasses or maybe the contact lens. So like that we can easily adopting our body with together with situation inside the metaverse. So I think that's from me. Not really much to say, but what I want to share about the metaverse or Metatourism now, this is a future. Especially for the tourism, because we really can foresee, we can see before we arrive in our destination. We can understand the situation, not through the two-dimension photo, but when we can have a look, in 3D, like in reality, the places where we want to go, like for example, the hotel. What is the lobby looks like, how big is the lobby, we can measure it with this 3D technology, and we can have a look, like Jeremy showed, the room inside the room. We can see around 360, or the room is like that, so we feel not like being cheated by the picture of the 2D, for example. So this is something that I really also want to explore more, especially because I also into the tourism business, and of course tourism business is going to be one of the stable industry, because we always want to travel around. We want to see some other place, to experience other culture, and meet lots of people in different countries. Yeah, so that's for me. I think. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Jimmy. I think we got some really interesting glimpses into the outside world through the metaverse, through your slides. I'm sure there is more to explore, so perhaps the audience can drop their questions into the chat box below so we can address them during the Q&A session after this break. Make sure to stick to the end for a complimentary voucher to AirAsia Academy's on-demand courses. So we have 5 minutes from now. Grab a drink or a snack and enjoy these videos from AITI and AirAsia Academy.
Pejana Scheme is a joint funding scheme and is open for businesses 100% local owned by Bruneian residents and permanent residents. The business must be categorized under micro, small, and medium enterprise. The business must be active and operational for at least 2 years. Eligible MSMEs who wish to follow the scheme will need to pay a minimum amount of 30% to a maximum of 50%, where the rest will be covered by AITI. The percentage depends on the annual turnover of the MSMEs. Just to highlight, the maximum subsidy provided by AITI will be 5,000, which will be made available for 1 year. To know more on this, you may visit AITI website.
Ready? Let's begin. With AirAsia Academy, learning has never been more accessible and affordable. led by industry experts to integrate technology, innovation, and leadership to better equip you for the future, anytime, anywhere. Carve your path by upskilling or reskilling with a dynamic range of courses that will prepare you for ASEAN's vast digital economy. Here at AirAsia Academy, help is always available. Interact with peers and educators across live chats, virtual labs, and more. If being in a classroom environment isn't your thing, you can choose on-demand learning. Lessons are delivered in bite-sized, media-rich modules and allow you to acquire in-demand skills faster at a fraction of the cost. Get access to a variety of knowledge-based content with holistic development on a trusted platform, suitable for all ages. Be in control, have the freedom to learn whenever you want, wherever you are. Step into the workforce, job ready, skilled, and poised for change. Experience the evolution of education. Get ready for the future today with AirAsia Academy.
We will head way for our question and answer session. Now, today's session will be moderated by Dr. Ram, who will be involved in the discussions along with our speakers, Jimmy and Jeremy. So if you have any questions, don't forget to send them in the chat right now.
Okay, thanks, Hani. Ladies and gentlemen, I can see that you've been having your questions and answers already. And I believe that Jeremy is answering so many of them, but nonetheless, for the whole of our audience, I'm going to recap some of the questions, Jeremy and Jimmy as well. Theo writes, Eon XR looks really great for some really unique workshops. The utopian future can probably see this taken off in the mainstream. And of course, he points out some obstacles that might inhibit the use of the devices, including the obvious affordability, as well as a number of other issues. So in both your minds, I suppose we'll go to Jimmy first, since you just finished your talk. What do you think are the obstacles towards the adoption of the metaverse, and how do we overcome it?
For me personally, it's all about the gadget, the device. As you see now, the device is still expensive and still somehow not easy to find. Not really, easy to people to search where to buy this gadget, and it's still priced, it's so expensive. And this is something that for me, as the blockchain player here, I really embrace, and I love the technology so much, but I can afford this, I can buy this, my children can also experience exploring, but the rest of the children that cannot buy this, or parents cannot afford this, they just hear from the story of the friends. Of course they want to, for example, that we bring this gadget to, let's say, to school for them to experience. They happy, they really wants to try, and they when they explore it, they like how to say, yeah, they're so very happy to explore the new things, especially in technology. But again, for example, they come to their house and tell this experience to the parents, and ask the parents, maybe begging the parents to buy the technology, I mean the gadget, then it that end, because they cannot buy this. So I think, it can be only do the mass adoption in 5 or 10 years from now. But of course, unless let's say the technology company from China manufacturing this in a very cheap price, who knows? And then, like, for example, like smartphone that coming from China is very cheap in Indonesia. We can buy for below $60. We can so many people can use this technology, and then I believe that then we can do the mass adoption for this. I mean, so many smart developers, new young people that can, especially in Indonesia. I don't know about others, but for example, in Bali, we have already quite many smart developers that understand the Unity, the other technology, that Unreal Engine whatsoever, which is it's amazing technology that we can really introduce to young people, because all the fundamental for the technology for the adoption is from young people. Let's say before, when Nokia was the king, when Android come and they underestimate Android and they said, don't worry, they just children, they just children toy, for example, like that. But then they don't understand that the children is multiplying like millions of times, so they help to make this technology boost rapidly. So this will happen in Metaverse if only the gadget or the the device is really affordable and quite cheap. This is from me.
Okay, thanks, Jimmy. Jeremy, I will phrase the question a little bit differently for you.
Okay,
because
sure.
if you talk about smartphones, we go back to when we were kids. I'm assuming we're roughly the same age.
Okay.
They were science fiction.
Yeah,
right?
I remember a time before smartphones, definitely.
Yeah, and it's a 1990s supercomputer in your hand. No.
Exactly.
And nobody thinks of it that way. Nobody looks back and thinks of it like, wow, how did we get here? But I will point out that humans have been used to looking at screens since the 50s and 60s. It was a gradual shift.
True.
And XR, AR, VR seem to be a very huge tidal shift. And I think that's where all of this difficulty in terms of adoption is coming from. So what are your thoughts?
I would agree. And I think, we've seen VR kind of come in waves where it starts to get popular and then it kind of trails off and then it gets popular again. Kind of see the big surge around COVID-19, the pandemic, where people are starting to look for new solutions, like what do we do to replicate, our businesses online and the way we conduct business online. I think to adopt, of course, there's the price point will need to come down for greater adoption. You see companies like Meta have done a lot to kind of take a loss on devices and kind of hope to make that up with applications. Maybe some of the decisions there still under question with the latest earnings calls and things as far as the stock goes. But I think, that it has definitely helped the industry a lot, whether it's been great for Meta personally, but they have definitely helped with permeating the market with devices that are, maybe still not inexpensive, but they are somewhat more available to a wider audience. We see in the comment Pico 4 coming, so that will be another competitor. So we'll have more options there. And I think as there's more competition, as this technology develops more, the price will continue to come down. Headsets will get lighter, I think will help.
That's huge, right? I mean, you're basically wearing a motorbike helmet on your head all the time.
Exactly. So I think that's an issue. Also, the ability to adjust from pass-through mode to full virtual immersion. I think if we can make that comfortable and quick to switch and have it good quality, maybe like we're seeing more with the Quest Pro or Meta Pro coming out, that will be helpful as well. Of course, that's still quite an expensive headset. If that comes to kind of the more standard headset that is the majority of the market, then I think we'll be making some gains there.
Okay, and which brings us to Yap and Natalia's point that the biggest drawback is that it's currently only 2 of our 5 physical senses, right? Sight and sound. Now, if you're talking about an immersive experience, I remember LA of the 1990s smelling like a car engine. and there's nothing that replaces that shock. But, how would you address all of that in the metaverse?
As far as for smells, I've seen some interesting R&D. So for example, we could have an application where we walk in virtual reality near a waterfall. And then in script, we're triggering, the player or the user is in this vicinity of the waterfall. And then we have cartridges with different types of smells that a powder is released into the air to kind of give you that impression. It's also say for haptics, for feeling. We have things like the Tesla suit or the Tesla
You did
gloves.
point out,
Yeah, so
which are again at Tesla prices.
yes, exactly. So not so accessible at this point, but again, as more people use them, as they become more commonplace, I think the price point with maybe kind of pared down versions will become available for the more average users anyway.
All right. So much sensory overload, Jimmy. Now we get to the fact that you mentioned the first time you go, look, the first time I played a 3D game, after 5 minutes, I was ready to head to the toilet. I was ready to throw up. But how do you deal with so much immersion, which is confusing your biological senses? Now you're talking about getting to the other extreme. It's so real that your brain is real and it's messing up the user. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, if you want to talk about the body metabolism, it's quite interesting what we experience in this technology. Yeah, like I said, for example, if I want to say something, how to say, intermezzo, but our soul using our body as a gadget. So our eyes is this, this VR gadget. Yeah, our body is, we are using it. So we learn from baby, we learn how to, to walk, because then we are like still dizzy, So then we grow up and then we can make our body stable. We are more mature, we are more, wiser. And this is a human perspective, right? But in Metaverse itself, yeah, it's similar that now we are the soul and we are using the gadget, to see the different other multiverse, for example, or universe, and we see the different world, and we try to sense, experience inside this new. Of course, for new people who are using this, they excited, they overwhelmed with the situation, with the environment. But then after a few minutes, I'm sure they will got nausea, they will got dizzy. Especially when I play this Roblox also with my kids, and yeah, we are making the how to say, we put the line not to go further, I mean, with this Oculus. And then we have to run, but we not really run. And then somehow my brain, I have to think that I'm in that. I mean, I'm thinking that I'm in that world, inside the world, but my body somehow like rejecting, and I become from dizzy, I become nausea and almost throw up. Then I stop for like 15 minutes. I just enough. I cannot play. And my kids like, Papa, why you stop? Maybe the kid, they still have this.
Yeah, they're unaffected.
Yeah, unaffected. This is something that, oh my God. And then it means this technology actually created at the moment is not for our age,
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. Yeah, but I love that one. I never expected saying that our soul is just using this very fancy device, which is our body, and it's just got used to the device that it's golden. So Jeremy, in terms of the question from Razan is, and you answered it a little bit, but how can Brunei utilize, or any country, right, any holiday destination, utilize the metaverse to improve their tourism industry? I mean, we're talking about Bali, right? They literally don't want you to have to be able to put on a VR headset and enjoy the sand for free.
Sure.
Right? There'll be the pandemic all over again for them. So how is the metaverse going to help boost tourism?
Yeah, I think really the aspect that I find the most useful, and Jimmy mentioned this as well, is being able to visit these places before you go. So maybe I don't know if I'm so interested in Bali, I don't have any background, but to be able to go and put on a headset and say, oh, this is basically what it's like, and then be motivated to take that next step. I'm like, okay, I want to see this in person, get the full sensory experience, maybe without buying a
like
Tesla
a free
suit.
sample.
And yeah, it's a bit
It's
like
like
a free sample, a bit of a test run.
Yeah. So if anything, I think it'll be a huge benefit, because let's face it, I come from an airline-based industry. We really want people traveling as much as possible.
Certainly, sure.
Um,
Could be good for in-air entertainment as well.
It'd be great, right?
Yeah, can you imagine if we want to go to that airline, for example, Brunei Airline, and somehow Brunei website provide this metaverse, so we can see what kind of aircraft that we about to onboard. Is it Boeing or is it Airbus or so? Is it the seat with two or three, and how is the look inside, So this is amazing when we can explore before we even, go there.
Okay, which I think answers to Haila's question about the metaverse being a form of a teaser, or what we call free sample. It would be great if they had those virtual mosquitoes for the jungle tour that Suhaila's mentioning. All right, so we've gone through a couple of the questions from the audience. One about the Pico 4 from Muhammad. And again, it boils down to the price, right? I noticed a lot of the questions coming down to price. And with all technology, I think with the greater and greater adoption and more competition, the price just comes down. There was a time when the laptop used to cost like 10 grand.
I remember also when the smartphone, the big one.
Yeah, was, oh my God, yeah. Geez, it was like a stick of dynamite. Yeah.
See some good memes online with like the old Nokia phones at the end of a hatchet handle,
where you had to
like
carry it was like a can of gas.
Yes.
Indestructible.
Yeah. So in terms of the policies, now we get into the legal side. So Rabiatul points out an interesting point in that there are literally no metaverse police at the moment. And we talk about things like cyberbullying and a lot of other issues. Is that going to be an issue? And I'm sure it is a problem. And how are we going to tackle it? Jimmy first?
Yeah, I think it will be an issue when the metaverse use, sorry to say, for example, like for pornography, for example, because this is, but I mean, we cannot avoid this. I mean, pornography is kind of industry that earn lots of money, in this world, and how there's so many pervert in this world, and they really will use this technology for sure. And the technology entrepreneur also will see the opportunity by providing the this to earn profit from this. And I'm sure the regulator will have to think hard how to to regulate and govern this situation, because it's not good for our children, because when we enter this decentralized world, it will be really, really free. So somehow parents really have to look after the children of the gadget, activity use, and because so many things that they can explore and enter, in this internet, or later on will be, internet is the first generation, and now the blockchain generation is the second one, and it's massive. When you understand this, when you already read deeply about what is blockchain, you will be amazed how it can be in another 20 to 30 years from now. Just the same like internet, 30 years ago, when nobody really understand, including me, that how it will be, how it can be in the next 30 years. And it is exactly the same with this blockchain. And the children now is adopting or, absorbing very, very fast, and this is, we have to very, very cautious and look after.
So Jeremy, you mentioned decentralization. That's one of the essentials in the metaverse. But
Sure.
if decentralization can, in some cases, be argued to be deregulation, the lack of regulation, and leads to that conundrum. how much freedom do you give? Because absolute freedom means chaos, and absolute order means no freedom. So how do we find the balance in all of this decentralization and yet having to regulate certain things?
Yeah, I think that is an ongoing struggle, right? We still see that with the internet. We haven't really solved that balance yet between, what is good for amount of control that we give users in different platforms. There's a lot of debate over Facebook, for example, what Meta does for how much moderation do you use, how much control do you give to users, how much do you restrict? I think when you bring in, the cryptocurrency aspect, that's kind of a whole nother layer, because then you have, governments very involved in things with how currency is managed and what the regulations are there. So I think it will be an ongoing struggle. We'll have to have a lot of expertise from both the governments, academics, business people, really everyone come together. There are some boards like the XRSI for XR safety and cybersecurity for that aspect of it that are formed. So there are people working on those aspects. Yeah, I think definitely is.
Okay. I mean, on some platforms, $8 used to get you absolute freedom, right?
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And Farid asks, will it affect our everyday routine and the economic implications of the metaverse and how people? I mean, Jeremy, you said that it will affect the way that we work, we live, literally, right? And I think Farid's questions, just how could you elaborate on that?
Sure. I think in many ways, just the amount of travel, for example, not tourist travel, or but just like day-to-day to the office kind of travel that we could replicate maybe more in the metaverse, do more of our work from home, which a lot of the younger generation, or really workers in general right now, are looking for. We have in the US the Great Resignation, where people are given a choice to return to the office, or many of them are just choosing to find other work that does give them more hybrid or virtual options. So I think that businesses have to adapt a bit to that, because really a new approach to work, a new approach to work-life balance. So I think the metaverse will be great in helping for that, to replicate a lot of the duties that we need to do in our day-to-day jobs, to be able to do those in the metaverse, do them virtually.
Right. So we'll extend that a bit, Jimmy. Yeah. In terms, because you're such a spiritual guy, right? We answer, does the metaverse replace that human touch of that face-to-face interaction?
I'm a dreamer. I like to dream also to go to Mars, to go to Andromeda, galaxy, to imagine to see another world, So when I'm entering this, my own imagination without this technology, I really can enjoy and feel peace in myself. I'm sure with this technology and can help to make it real, especially in the visual. It will be it will really help maybe human behavior in the future. So this is something like I believe like that. But of course, there will be also worse scenario or negative impact also. So this is something that we need to really look after. This government should regulate, should really monitor those negative, what is inside the metaverse, Yeah.
Very interesting. Farid points out, and I never thought of this, that patients who are unable to leave their care centers will at least be able to overcome those physical obstacles and depression. I never thought of that. That is one huge benefit.
Yes.
And in terms of how our children will develop, Jeremy, now, you have those parents who just don't want to give their kids any mobile devices.
True.
Because it's evil, right? And I think that every generation thinks that whatever technology didn't exist when they were kids is evil. Like our parents probably didn't like the television. It was like, oh no, it'll make you stupid. And their parents used to say the radio was bad and all that. So how is this going to change the way their children work? How change how they think?
Yeah, I think, like as you mentioned, there's always that kind of generational resistance, I guess, as we have a shift. It could be the music, like, oh, the Beatles are evil, for example, and then it's, or from Elvis, and then you can move on to different musicians, for example. I think you may have a little bit of the same with the technology is evil. You said mobile, or is it going to be VR? There's always that worry, right? Like putting children into a new space, like what are they going to encounter? What do we do about harassment, so that we have those issues of moderation and things like that? Which now I think a lot of the popular platforms are pretty heavily monitored, but of course, you can still run into situations where children would be exposed to something that maybe would be inappropriate for their age group. So I think, yeah, we can be diligent about just ways that we can moderate, and maybe more restricted platforms for their certain ages where they have to at least have some kind of proof to be able to sign on. Giving parents more kind of control over, maybe settings on the device itself. So they need a parent to let them access certain applications.
But we wouldn't let our kids just run around town on their own, right? So I think it's on parents to accompany their children.
I think that is the biggest aspect, really, that parents need to be involved and know what their children are doing with the device and what kind of applications they're using, and have open conversations about it. So even if they do encounter something that is questionable, to see how they feel about it, what they think about it. And it's most important to understand how the child is reacting to it. So we know how to deal with it from there.
I want to add also,
Jimmy?
When in this Web3 technology, this is also actually quite helping, because in the Web3, you just connect the wallet instead of using the username or password. So the children, for those who don't know about the wallet things, about the crypto, even they have a wallet, but they don't have crypto, they cannot, use something that, for example, for payment. So this Web3 technology really also can help access for the children.
I mean, Jimmy, you made it very clear that you let your kids get.
So me and my wife, we try to educate our children, and we give them like time management. We don't want to, because the more we hold for some kids, they will fight back. They will be how to say, the people who wants to know more. And I don't want this, because this happened to me before when I was a kid. My parents always not allowing me to do this, and I'm fighting back. I'm so this is not
like the
good.
more they say no, the more we want to do it.
Yes.
Backflip off the table.
So
that's what I want to do.
And they will do it behind our back, and then with their friends, with the some knowledge that we don't know, the negative things, even worse. So better in front of our eyes, but we monitor them. This is, I think, the most wise approach for our children.
I think what both of you are echoing is education, guidance. I mean, look, it's been around for ages. We just have to translate that into the metaverse.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, there are no further questions. So, Jeremy, your final thoughts on today's subject?
There was just one comment that came up also, I think Mohammed did, on what we call virtual reality. So I'd just like to kind of touch on that point as we close. So
right.
Virtual reality, kind of in the past, or maybe still, is often referred to, that's anything virtual. So whether it's on a flat screen or whether it's full immersion in a headset. But I see a little more divergence now, where if you're referring to virtual reality, I would generally say it's full immersion, like in a headset. So all your environment is virtual reality. Whereas if we have something that's on a screen, flat screen, for example, would be more like real-time 3D. So even see that in a lot of academic papers, which can make it a bit confusing if you're searching through different things to sort out what is VR, what is real-time 3D, and what is VR with full immersion. So I would recommend for people to use, if it's 2D, something like that, or 3D on a flat screen, that we call it real-time 3D, RT3D. And then if it's full immersion, like something in a headset where all our environment, or a cave system, for example, we see VR all around us, fully computer generated, that we use the term VR would be my advice.
Oh, excellent. Thank you very much, Jeremy.
Thank
Jimmy?
you.
Yeah, I wish that especially Brunei government or Minister of Tourism really have to consider to learn about Metaverse more or Web3. Yeah, because I was in Brunei like 15 years ago, and I really don't know the the updates, development of the the country. I only heard from friends there, oh, Brunei like this, and then I imagining the like this, maybe like this, But imagine if we can see Brunei through Metaverse, Metatourism, whatsoever. Create the application. Maybe Jeremy also can help Brunei government here, to make this happen. And people from all over around the world, they can see Brunei, from this flyer, from this brochure, Metaverse brochure, and this is will happen. Maybe other country later will follow, but young people always keep curious with the knowledge. No matter what, this blockchain is big, it's massive, and this is some opportunity for young people now to enter. So because another next 20 to 30 years from now, maybe you will be the next Bill Gates, maybe you will be the next Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, but you start now, because now is the time, because they are now start at the same start line with us. The difference is the money is a lot, but yeah, you should start now. This is the moment, for us. So we're already this age. I mean, I'm not really want to give up, but I want to share with all young people here my knowledge, my experiences, my wisdom, maybe in my own way, because I've been through a lot of things, and I hope really everybody can get something useful from today, what we are talking about. Thank you.
That's wonderful, gentlemen. Thank you very much, Jeremy. Thank you very much, Jimmy.
Dr. Ram.
Thank you.
Hani, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy, Jimmy, and Dr. Ram for that insightful question and answer session. I think there are other questions, so I'm sure maybe the audience can reach out through the contact addresses shared just now. But for now, I will be giving the mic to Yang Mulia Muhammad Nur Ilham bin Haji Zaini from AITI for this event's closing remarks.
Our speakers, Jeremy and Jimmy, for the informative and insightful session today. And also thanks also to our moderator, Dr. Ram. The metaverse is increasingly attracting the interest of industry practitioners, and the number of consumers inhabiting the metaverse is growing. So therefore, it's critical for tourism industry players not only to recognize this new phenomena, but to also develop strategies to actively participate in this new world and leverage this opportunity to build a sustainable competitive advantage. Thank you again to all the people here joining, and I shall pass back the floor to Hani. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yang Mulia Muhammad Nur Ilham, for your speech. Alhamdulillah, we have come to the end of the seminar. Thank you again to AITI for this opportunity to expand our knowledge on the metaverse, and also to our esteemed speakers, Jeremy and Jimmy, and also Dr. Ram for being so kind to share your insights on the industry. With that, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and have a great day.